Good evening. So, you go by JC, Geography Challenges. How should I call you?
Yeah, Rory's my name, but most people call me GC.
Sorry, why am I saying JC? And like
the French way around.
Oh my god! And I almost never speak French. I don't know what I did that wrong.
G and J are flipped in English versus French. Yeah.
All right, so GC, Geography Challenges. Yep. In fact, I don't know if it was a joke, but I think a few months ago you had a video with. Was it a joke? Geography Challenged? Was it your girlfriend or is it?
Yeah, that's my girlfriend. Yeah. So she goes by Geography Challenged. Yeah.
I thought that was a quite nice touch of humor there.
Yeah.
All right. In case you haven't seen that video, I recommend you check it out. I'll put the link in the description anyway. I'll put the link to your channel as well in the description because probably many people in the GeoGuessr community know you because you're a very active YouTuber. But before anything else, tell us more about who you are. Maybe 3 keywords, 3 numbers, or whatever you want to say to introduce yourself.
So yeah, I love geography and I've loved it since I was a small child. So as soon as I came across GeoGuessr and realised you could actually get quite good, I've just it's been one of the main things in my life for the last 4 years. Love a lot of other things as well, like actually quite keen on cooking, listen to a lot of music, watch a lot of films, so quite into those aspects of culture as well. But yeah, geography at the moment probably defines me.
What type of music do you enjoy? What type of films do you watch?
Oh god, all sorts. I don't know where to start. Try and think of some of my favourite films. I've been liking Korean films recently, so things like Handmaiden, Parasite, those kind of things. Bit of a fan of old kind of 80s action films as well. Bit of everything, yeah.
I've seen Parasite. That was quite a film. Yeah.
Really
what about
good.
action films from the 80s? Anything that comes to mind?
Oh god, let me think.
This is not an exam question, by the way. It's just to get
I'll tell you what. I log all my films on Letterboxd, which is a really good app. So I'll check that because I always forget things off the top of my head. But yeah, any kind of classic action, like anything from well-known stuff like Lethal Weapon, but then some other like slightly less well-known stuff. Like there's some good Hong Kong cinema that I quite like. All sorts.
What made you go into that area of
just kind of me and my brother ever since we were kids just always loved films, so kind of between us we kind of share things and watch stuff together.
What's something you've watched recently that you'd recommend for others to watch? Something you really liked or surprised you perhaps?
A film called Chungking Express, made in the 90s, set in Hong Kong. Okay. Really, really good.
Is it an action film?
It's got bits of action in it, but it's a bit of a kind of follows a few different storylines. Like it's a bit of everything, a little bit romance, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of action. Really good.
Nice.
Really good.
What about music? You said you're a big buff when it comes to music.
Yeah, like I used to listen to loads and loads of like 70s music, like kind of David Bowie, Brian Eno, that kind of thing. Listen to a lot of 90s rock as well, like My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, a lot of that kind of shoegaze stuff. Then listen to a lot of like Kanye, Frank Ocean, that kind of thing as well.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Just to get to know you a bit better. Yeah. What prompted you to play GeoGuessr in the first place? How did you hear about it? How did you get into it?
Yeah, so bit of a long story. So when I was at uni, it was just before exams and we were kind of revising a little bit in the library.
Uni was before? Because everyone I've talked to is so young in this community.
Yeah,
woohoo! Someone who's actually after university. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. So I played a bit at uni because I'd already been into geography for a while at that point, so I was kind of naturally decent at GeoGuessr. But then kind of forgot about it for a couple of years and then came across GeoWizard's videos and realised that it's possible to get a lot better than I had realised, and knew that I had the background knowledge to probably get quite good. So started to play a bit more, discovered the community in the kind of original GeoGuessr subreddit, and from there met people, talked to people about the game, realised how insanely good some people actually were, and just as soon as I saw those people play, I just wanted to be as good as them, basically. Yeah.
What do you find, or what did you find the most difficult when it comes to playing GeoGuessr?
It's tough.
Or maybe at this point, right? At this point, because you're a very good player,
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you know you need to do to get better? What is the area that you feel is still very challenging for you?
So I don't have particularly deep knowledge about some of the big countries that cause people problems. So like my Russian knowledge is not great. Like I know a few things. My US knowledge is not great. Like I know the geography of the US pretty well, but I'm pretty behind on things like plates. I'm kind of rusty on the state road signs, that kind of thing. Brazil as well. Like starting to pick things up more and more, like familiar with the geography of the country, but just not quite at that level of knowing like poles and metas and stuff like that for some of those big countries. That's probably the biggest challenge for me.
Just make sure everyone understands, because this is the bit of the jargon in the community. The meta is the metadata, right? Like the Street View vehicle, or I guess the quality of the image, right? The generation 1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly, yeah. Like some countries like Brazil, there are specific things, even down to the detail of smudges on the lens on certain roads that are covered, that some players are starting to learn.
Or the leaf,
and
right?
Like,
the leaf on the...
yeah, the leaf, yeah, like the colour of the car in certain areas of the country. Yeah, things like that.
How do you consolidate your knowledge? How do you overcome these challenges? You mentioned the license plates. Do you have any system in place, or is it just practicing a lot and trying to cram it all in your brain?
It's just playing, really. Like sometimes I decide I want to get a bit better at a certain country and just grind it. But then if you don't keep it up, you do lose quite a lot of that knowledge quite quickly. So you just have to always revisit things. I mostly just play the game just on normal world maps, but sometimes there are countries that I like trying to get good at, so I'll revisit those and just grind out a few more games and hopefully retain that knowledge.
How much do you practice?
Not as much as I'd like to, because I spend a lot of time making videos for YouTube and TikTok. Most of my game time is spent doing that, so it can be hard to improve when you're focused on content. Normally when I practice, I try to do it with my friends in the community. Like I'll jump in with like RC or Jake or Simi and practice a bit.
So would you say how many hours per week? Do you have a rough sense?
It's hard to say. Maybe 10 hours a week or something. But that includes time spent recording stuff for videos.
Tell us more about your experience as a YouTuber. You have, I think, 9,000 subscribers, and you're posting.
Yeah,
regularly.
I've got about 9,000. Yeah, I've got about 9,000 subs on YouTube. I'm about to hit 100k on TikTok as well. But YouTube, I've been posting fairly consistently for 4 years, and it's a bit of a slog, but I love my kind of core following and love the fact that there are people out there who take the time to watch all the videos. So that keeps me
Do you
going.
have a specific goal you'd like to achieve, whether with TikTok or YouTube, in terms of the size of the channel or how you'd like to see it evolve over time?
Yeah, so TikTok, I was never expecting to really go anywhere, but I just kind of landed on a slightly successful formula and ended up blowing up a bit more than I thought it would, but I never really had any goal in mind for that. It was just a bit of fun to try. But YouTube, ever since I started, I actually wanted 10k subs. So I'm kind of close to that.
All right, so people watching this, you have to subscribe, right? Because you're near 1,000 people away.
Yeah,
and then you can quit your job, right? And become a pro GeoGuessr player and pro YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You're not even laughing, so this is serious. You do want to quit.
No. I mean, I would love to. I don't think it's realistic, but
why not? Right? If it happens,
we'll see.
great. If not, it's fine.
I think longevity is a bit of an issue. That's the main challenge.
To keep posting, to keep creating something.
Yeah, and you never know when like the interest is going to start to disappear from yourself or from the game more widely. I would say that's probably the main challenge. I think there are people out there who, if they really, really tried, could earn a reasonable income for a period of time, but the longevity is probably the hard bit.
Got it. How do you keep yourself motivated to create new content regularly? What keeps you motivated?
It's actually the people in the community. Like I really love so many people in the community. So many GeoGuessr players. Like I would consider people to be good friends. Like I'm now at a point where I've met people in real life, not just at the World Cup, but here in London as well, and that's what keeps me going.
You're based in London? Just give it away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned the World Cup. So you went to the World Cup at the end of October. in Paris. You teamed up with Jake. There was Calamity, right? The other username,
Yeah.
and then someone else.
And Tall Impala.
Tall Impala, the French guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How was it? How was the experience? I know you had a video. You had the behind the scenes, which I've watched, obviously. I'm curious what your takeaway exactly a month after that experience. I remember you the unfortunate round when you had the snow, right? That was, you all guessed, I think, in Scandinavia, and it was actually in the US.
Yeah, that's where we got knocked out in the semi-finals. But yeah, it was I think one of the best things I've ever done in my life, honestly. It was an incredible day, exhausting, so good to meet the players. The level of focus and concentration throughout the day to try and play at your best was really, really intense. But it was just so memorable, and we did a bit better than we expected to, and that felt incredible. And my teammates just played unbelievably well, and I think they deserve a huge amount of praise for how well they did in that.
What surprised you the most when attending that day? Because I was surprised it would go from 10 a.m. until I think close to 1 o'clock in the morning. Is there anything that surprised you during that day? You say it was an amazing experience, but anything that surprised you?
Things that surprised me, one of them was how you kind of maintain your energy levels until you get knocked out, and then it all catches up with you and you just feel exhausted from the mental energy you put into it. Also, really, not that I was surprised because I always knew, but the French community is so good at pinpointing. I consider myself to be quite good, and my teammates are also really, really good. But we came against a French team in the second round, and we had to do a moving game in Thailand. We played it really, really well, but they played it absolutely flawlessly, and it was just so hard to beat.
I've observed this actually firsthand. I was playing recently 2v2 on the Plunkett server, and I just happened to be joined by Blinky. And he was doing this 5k guesses when I was just randomly guessing in the country, and he had an extra 15 seconds on the same team and just get it's absurd. It's absurd.
Yeah, it was honestly one of my favorite things about the event. So seeing players who I respect so much and think are incredible, people like Blinky, people like RC, seeing them play at that level live at an event in front of so many people was just mind-blowing. Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's completely starting, completely new? A lot of probably what you've noticed maybe for your own channel, a lot of people watching these videos are usually not subscribed to the channel, so maybe they're just discovering also the community and GeoGuessr. What do you tell them to get started and not be discouraged? Because it's very easy to think, the default reaction is, oh, they're cheating, or it's inhuman, it's a miracle, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you get started on GeoGuessr without feeling discouraged today?
Good question. I think it has to start with you have to learn a bit about the coverage first of all. That's probably the starting point. Know which countries are covered, know where the coverage is in certain countries, and then just a few basic things like learning what road lines look like in different parts of the world. So, for instance, it's pretty easy to learn how to tell the Americas from Europe just with road lines. So those are probably your basic things, but I think more generally speaking, don't rush. I think nowadays a lot of the top players are very high profile and people see them do all these amazing things, but that takes a huge amount of effort. It takes quite a lot of natural skill. A lot of these top players have just a kind of knack for remembering things, a knack for kind of being skillful with the map. So don't rush. Make sure you enjoy it for the right reasons, and you're not just trying to get to the top for the sake of it. And then you'll have a bit more longevity, a bit more enjoyment, I would say.
So don't rush, have fun, and learn your basic data, right? So distinguishing at least continents.
Learn and don't ignore things. A lot of people just want to get very quickly to the point where they can, recognize every country really easily, which is obviously a huge part of it. But there are other things as well that are useful to learn. It's good to develop a bit of pinpointing skill. Good to kind of keep the actual geography knowledge building up in the background, because it's kind of underrated how useful that can be in certain situations. So try and develop a broad skill set, and just focus on the skills that you enjoy developing as well. If you find that you're enjoying pinpointing more than no moving, then just go for it. Vice versa, likewise.
It's interesting what you're saying here in terms of practicing different skills. In my conversation with Phineas, he was surprisingly to me, very straightforward in terms of feedback for the community and sharing that he felt that it was in one way positive that there's a lot of tournament and even now some money being involved. But at the same time, he felt that there was not enough maybe non-competitive play for GeoGuessr in the community. Do you feel likewise, or how would you like to see the game or the community evolve around GeoGuessr? Do you have any aspirations for the game or the community to evolve in a particular way?
Good question. Yeah, I think the competitive side is so high profile at the moment, and everything everyone does is kind of geared towards getting a competitive edge, which is good. Like, I think that kind of thing it's really good for the game. Like, it brings viewers, it raises everyone's level. So I think there are loads of positives from that. But I think, it can also make things a little bit more heated sometimes. People forget how to just chill a bit and enjoy playing. So I think, if everyone just takes a tiny step back sometimes and just enjoys the game, that's also nice. But I do think competitive is good for the community. It just needs to be handled well. Like, that's the main challenge. Like, you need to try and develop ways of dealing with cheating. You need to try and develop ways of making people feel good, like not shaming people for making a bad guess in a tournament. Like, all those things just make the competitive experience a little bit better. I would just advocate developing all those things that just make it pleasant for people.
It's a bit of a community rules, right? No cheating, but at the same time, be nice to others, right? It's okay not to guess correctly. That's the whole point of the game, after all, to get better at it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Agreed.
Have you visited any location based on playing? Because you've seen something surprising and you thought, oh, I need to go there, and I went there.
Sort of. Like, I went to Nigeria, actually, just before the pandemic. Yeah, that was... So it came up through work, and I kind of jumped on the opportunity because I always liked Nigeria locations in GeoGuessr. So that's why I was so positive.
Where did you go in Nigeria? Because I've been to Nigeria a few times because of my work as well.
Really? Nice. Just Lagos.
Got it. Were you able to walk around?
Not so much, like, because it was a work trip. It was a little bit more restricted, but I was really glad to be able to see some stuff, and we had a few trips out. It was nice.
It's certainly very enlightening, especially to go in that part of the world. It's quite different from London, I dare say.
It is.
And I can feel the discrimination. It's half a joke, obviously, but when you're the only white person in a market in Lagos, all eyes are on you. So it's interesting to be in the other way that most people experience, which is, when you're a person of color. Unfortunately, in most part of the Western world, you get discriminated against. So it's not always bad to be on the other side and feel what it is to have all eyes on you. Any other locations you'd like to visit that you hope to visit? Maybe your top 3.
So I have actually been to Chile, but that was before I was really into GeoGuessr, and I would like to go and see more of it because I only went to Santiago and Valparaiso. So I'd like to go more into Patagonia. I would really like to go to Indonesia, and I'm working on possibly trying to go next year. I would quite like to go to Taiwan. I would very much like to go to Colombia. I would love to go to Mexico as well. So
what makes those countries special to you? Indonesia, Taiwan, Mexico, Colombia, and Chile.
So like I actually love. I speak a bit of Spanish, so I love. I just love Spain. I love Latin America. The Andes is just probably the world's greatest geographical feature. So I just love South America. The culture's great. It feels amazing. I love the language. And then I've had great experiences anywhere I've been in Asia. So I have no doubt that seeing more bits of it would just be amazing experiences.
You seem very well traveled, which is always nice to hear. I know Indonesia very well. But then I realized when I started playing GeoGuessr that clearly I did not know Indonesia well enough because people who had never been there could pinpoint exactly where things were when I actually went across many islands in Indonesia, even on motorbikes. So I thought, hey, nobody's going to beat me. Yeah, guess what?
Then you come across Kodiak.
Exactly, right? Blinky or even Rainbolt. And it's, God. What does success mean to you in general or in GeoGuessr?
I guess it's trying to think of a way to say it without sounding corny, but I like trying to be a positive influence in the community. Like that's what I probably aim for. Like I'm not like the competitive side. I absolutely love taking part in, and anything we win is like a huge bonus for me. But I don't really have enough time to grind the game to the extent where I can expect to win multiple tournaments. So I kind of care more about. Honestly, I just like getting to know the nice people in the community, learn from some of the really knowledgeable people, try and have a bit of positive influence, like try and help develop the game and kind of make it a nice place for people to hang out.
I certainly don't think it's corny to have a positive influence and be nice to others and inspire others to be the same. So,
yeah,
I mean, thanks to you to try to do that constantly. I think it's always a positive thing to do. Slightly related, because I like to ask that question. When I say the word successful, who's the first person who comes to mind? Again, it can be part of the game. It doesn't have to be part of the game. It could be a relative, it could be someone well known. Just curious, who's an inspiration to you when it comes to someone being successful, a person?
That's a really hard question. I have a very personal definition of success, and most of it's about like relationships with people and how you treat people. So I would just I'll keep it GeoGuessr related. Like I look up to people who kind of do that thing that I talked about of making it a nicer place. So like there are big creators out there like Rainbow, Zigzag, Chicago Geographer, for example, who I think like managed to juggle making good content with making the place positive. So I can look up to people like that.
If you had one gigantic billboard that you could put anywhere on the highway with anything on it, what would it say? Whether it's for the GeoGuessr community or in general.
I'd probably find the like baitiest location in the world and just have a big billboard that says this is that location. But I'm trying to think of a really baity place and I can't think of one. Or something something I get wrong. What do I do? Oh yeah, I have an issue sometimes in GeoGuessr where I forget to think of Bolivia. So yeah, I just have a big billboard that says this is Bolivia.
I know what you mean.
Then I'll remember to guess it. Yeah.
That's fair. Since you mentioned about being wrong, when was the last time you admitted being wrong and you revised your opinion accordingly?
I'm wrong all the time, so it's hard for me to pick just one.
You know, I would think that people playing GeoGuessr would more easily admit that they're wrong because sometimes you're so stumped by a bad guess, even though you can be very good otherwise. So yeah. I guess it forces you to humility and realize, hey, you still have always something to learn. Now, anyway, that's my assumption.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think, I think there's plenty of room for humility in GeoGuessr. I get humbled regularly by various locations. So, yeah.
What's one thing that you're excited about that's coming up next year, maybe, or in the future? Maybe a piece of technology, or a gadget, or a book, a film.
Something I'm looking forward to.
You want that 10,000 subscribers? I got it. You have to subscribe to the channel.
Yeah. That's true. Also, I look forward to trying to go abroad a little bit more again because ever since the start of COVID, I'm not really. I've been fortunate to have a couple of trips, but I haven't done anything that major. So I'm looking forward to visiting another continent, basically.
That's very nice.
It's the main thing. Yeah.
Any final few words so that we can wrap up the interview? Don't want to.
Not really. Just a shout out to some of the people I like in the community. Basically, you all know who you are. So, yeah, big love.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks very much.